Hello everyone, welcome back. In the last video we installed Docker, and in this video we're going to use Docker to build a couple Docker images here. So nice part about Docker is Docker allows you to create an image of a project, push it up to Docker Hub, or hub.docker, and then use that image anywhere. So one of the things you'll notice is we can actually push Docker images to AWS and use them in, like, say, Elastic Beanstalk or other services. In fact, Google Cloud has one as well. But one of the problems with Docker is, for our purposes, is our ultimate goal is Kubernetes, and Kubernetes has no way to build Docker images. It has to use already existing Docker images. So one of the things we're going to get to eventually is using Travis CLI when we push to GitHub in order to actually build that project for us, push an image, and then deploy to Kubernetes. And we'll also version control it as well, which is pretty dang cool. So, but let's just before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's go ahead and create our first Docker image, and then we'll push this code to GitHub so that way you guys can take a look at it. Now that we're past all the kind of not so fun stuff. Okay, let's do it first with our Echo server here. This is the simplest one. So it should be really simple here. Let's see. We're going to close all. Okay. So how Docker works is it looks for a Docker file. So Docker file like so. And yeah, sure, we'll go ahead and install the Docker extension here. That's fine. As we get more down this route, we're going to have a few more of these, I think. And I'm going to just, well, it should be done. Come on. Okay, yep. I didn't want to pause the video there. Yeah, that's fine. Don't show again. Okay. So what a Docker file basically does is a Docker file allows you to build a project, as I said before. So I want to show you something real quick. So let's go ahead and go to hub.docker.com. Let's go ahead and look at a Docker file from an existing project. Let's say, while we're using Go and Nodes, let's go look at Nodes Docker image. So go look at Nodes Docker image, and we'll go click on this Docker file right here. We can go see here's the GitHub for the Docker file, and this is what it's doing. So basically what a Docker image is a Docker image is kind of this isn't quite accurate, but you can think of it sort of like a miniaturized version of an operating system that only has exactly what you need. So for example, you can run a Docker image that only has Node and all the basics for Node. It doesn't have all this extra stuff. Like your operating system, let's say you're running Ubuntu, you have a bunch of stuff you may never use. Like let's say you're just using Ubuntu to browse the internet. Well, you're never going to use curl, really, right? Or wget. Actually think Ubuntu doesn't come with curl, but either way, it does come with wget. So that's a package, for example, that you may never use. So with Docker images, they allow you to build the smallest possible image for your project, so you can pass it around nice and easy. It only has exactly what it needs. And also with Docker images, which we'll get to later, you can actually use a Docker builder. So you basically can build your project and then copy that code over to, like, say, an Nginx server. So an example of that is for Go, for example, you don't need all this extra stuff. Like there's all these packages here. Once the project's built, you don't need any of that extra stuff, right? So why would you have it in your image? You don't need that. So you can use one image to build the Go binary, then copy that Go binary to just a very basic Nginx server, and then an Nginx server can just serve the data from that binary. So there's no longer any need at all for any kind of Go. You don't even need Go. You already have the binary built. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, please post below, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. This stuff can get somewhat complicated, so if it doesn't make sense to you, that's perfectly fine. Anyway, going back to this Docker image, you'll see that we have some commands here. There isn't a lot of commands in Docker, but there is a few. So the main one here is from, and this basically says what image you're pulling from. So you can actually chain images as well. So one of the things that's doing, you'll see this this Node 8. If we go and we grab this Jesse, this one here, version 8 Jesse, then what it's going to do is it's going to grab this Docker image, and we'll start after all this stuff is run. You'll see it run command Node. It runs Node, and then you can actually use Node in your Docker, and you can just keep chaining them as you go. So let's say Well, I think let's just do it by example. Okay. So we're going to say from, we're going to do, so this is a node project, so we'll do node, Alpine. Oh, one thing I want to mention about node as well, Docker, is node, if you just grab the node package, you get a lot of extra stuff. You'll see this is pretty big here. There's a lot of extra stuff. But if you grab just the node Alpine, which I think they should have a node Alpine here, like so, it's smaller. It's a smaller image. So you don't have all the extra stuff, which is nice. It has just barely what it needs to run. So keep that in mind. If you want like full functionality, then you want to do something like node version 8. But if you want the bare minimum just to run your server, then you just want to do Alpine, so your Docker image is smaller. Okay. So now we're starting with node, so we have node available. So first thing we need to do is we need to copy over the package.json, right? Oh no, we need to set a working directory first. So we're just going to set the working directory to app. So what this does is on that image it says, hey, start from this path. And if the folder doesn't exist, the Docker image will create that folder. Okay. And then we want to do copy our package.json to that folder there. And then we want to say run npm. It's 4 degrees out. Wow, it's cold. My wife was just showing me it's 4 degrees out right now and snowing. It's very cold. Npm run build, like so. And then we want to copy over everything else. So, and then we can do cmd command, it's called command, node, and then index.js. Okay, so what's going on here is, so Docker, every time you build a Docker image, it will cache what you've done before. So you might say to Nick, why are you not just copying everything and then running npm build? Well, the problem is if I don't change the packages, why would I want to rebuild every time I just change a file? If that makes sense. So basically, it makes it a lot faster if you do the steps that you need to do. That'll make sense here in a minute. I'll show you here in a minute, and that'll make sense. Okay. So let's go ahead and build this and then run it. So we'll say that is in client as echo servers echo 1, right? So echo servers echo 1. Okay, we're going to docker build is a command. We're just going to use dot. So what dot is saying, hey, look, this local directory we're in right now, look for a Docker file. So I'll show you how to specify specific Docker files later on. But right now it just says, hey, look for a file called Docker file. So I'll run that build. And this will take a second. Let's download all the stuff for it. You'll see it's a polling library node from that Alpine. So if you go look at that Alpine up here, you'll see from Alpine 3.8, and then it does all this other stuff up here. Anyway, missing script build. Oh, did I mess this up? npm run build. Oh, this is not the Vue project. Oops. We need to just run npm. No, we don't need npm install. Oops. Sorry, guys. Npm install. So then docker build. There we go. Missing why is this not? Oh. npm install. Wow. That's embarrassing. Okay. npm install. And give it a second. There we go. Okay. So we successfully created a container. This is the container ID. So we'll do docker run. Okay. Run that container. Now it's listening. So we're going to do curl localhost 4000. 4000. And failed to connect. Hey, why is that? It says down here that the server is listening. Well, one of the things is it's listening on port 4000 inside this container. But our machine here has no idea about it. So what we need to do is we need to attach a port to this container. We need to basically expose a port to the area. So this idea of exposing ports will become really important, especially when we get down to Kubernetes. So it's good to kind of see that here and how that's working. So how do you do that? Well, there's actually a command in the Docker run to do that. So why is this not canceling? We'll just do this. I think there's a problem with my computer. Okay, echo servers, echo 1. and we're going to do docker run that container, but we're going to attach port 4000 with 4000. So this is the port in our machine here, and this is the port in the container, if that makes sense. So we'll do that. So once again, this is that thing I was telling you about with Docker. You'll see it says permission denied for that file. So we're going to have to change the owner real quick. User. You should only have to do this one time. This isn't something you're going to have to do every time. Docker.sock. There we go. Our super secret password. Okay. So we'll run that Docker. Now, when we curl in 4000, we'll get that alive. So you'll see that on here we had set this all routes pass back alive, right? Well, we attached our local 4000 to the port 4000 here. We made a curl request to our local port. It proxied it to this Docker image, which then proxied back this this alive statement. So there you go. You guys have built your first Docker image and ran your first Docker image. And there's a lot more to it, obviously, but that's the very, very, very basics of building Docker images for projects. So I will see you guys in the next video. And if you want to support this channel, there's a Patreon down below. Only if you want to. And thank you guys so much for your time, and I'll see you next time.